For 25 years, with its compassionate heart, Angela Hospice has been caring for patients and families in Southeast Michigan. But that heart of compassion began beating nearly 11 years before it cared for its first patient.
I was working at Madonna University and teaching nursing at the time and doing clinicals with students at various hospitals. And I was waiting like 11 years for permission to start the hospice. I had previously worked with our sisters in the infirmary, and we just did the things we always do. Holistic care, take care of the sisters, and spiritual needs were obviously always there by virtue of what we're about. So later, when I was taking care of working with the students and going to the different hospitals, I was just observing that they, at that time, this is, late 70s or so, that they were still taking patients to the end of the hallway, away from the nurse's station, closing the door, and don't go in there, don't bother the patient because she is dying. And so they'd really, a lot of times, just be there all alone. And plus, the pain control seemed to be an issue. And then I thought, well, gosh, at the convent we would have the sisters stay with the sisters. Others would be in chapel, like a prayer vigil, just praying for a peaceful death for them.
After observing that contrast, Sister Giovanni began learning more, not just about pain management, but a new form of care called hospice for those approaching end of life. Returning from a conference presented by the founder of the modern hospice movement, Sister Giovanni came back home to Livonia with a profound vision.
When we started the hospice 25 years ago, I could never have imagined how it would grow. I never would believe we'd have this facility. When we first started, that's what I wanted to do, because that's all I knew about hospice, as I had studied it for so many years before we got permission to start the program. It came out of England, and that's what they had, hospice inpatient facilities. So that's what I was thinking. I came home from that conference, I heard Dame Cicely Saunders speak, and that's what she had in England. So I thought, well, we have to put up a building, and we have a lot of property here in Livonia, so then we'll just bring all of the dying from all around, the different counties, and we'll take care of them here. And so I got no for starting, and obviously no for the building. So I thought, well, what else can we do? So then really, with that conference, that began the hospice movement here in the United States. And so out east, they did start the hospice home care programs. And I thought, oh, that's what we can do. We can just do it out in the home. So I just rearranged some of my thinking, and we began taking care of the patients in the home. No, we can't do 24/7 care, but we can help the families as much as possible.
But it all began with the first patient.
We had gotten permission to start our Angela Hospice. We had our first board meeting October 9th, 1985. October 10th, I walked into the room at our office at Madonna University and waiting for the phone to ring, and of course it cursed, well, you got permission, but now you need to let people know that you have permission to take care of hospice patients. So we did more advertising, but I was out shopping in one of the stores, and a lady ahead of me burst into tears because her mother is so sick and dying, and she doesn't know what to do, and she and her husband don't want to put her in a nursing home. And if somebody would just show me how to take care of her, I could take care of her at home. And I just kind of felt the Holy Spirit, go, go, go. So I just went, I said, you know what, we have our Angela Hospice program right here in Livonia, so if you would like, I could come over and visit you, and I'm a nurse, I can show you what to do for your mother. And that was Michaela Bassarico. That was our first patient that we took care of in 1985.
During its first year of service, Angela Hospice cared for a total of 20 people suffering from incurable illnesses. Now, 25 years later, Angela Hospice cares for over 1,600 patients each year. But what is it that makes Angela Hospice what it is today? According to its founder, it is its people.
I take great pride in our wonderful staff. You know, people say, oh, how can you do it? And, oh, you've done so much for the dying. And that's why I say we have. But I really thank God daily for our staff, because to see them come in, and whether they're doing fundraising or whether they're doing marketing, whether they're doing phone receptionists, all of these things add, whether they're ordering the supplies, everything adds to the care of the patient. But then, of course, we do have those nurses aides, social workers, spiritual care, bereavement people who do direct care. And, you know, look at how many people we've cared for all of these 25 years, and where would we be without the staff?
I've worked at Angela Hospice now going on 16 years this May. I think probably the most important quality to make a good hospice nurse is probably empathy, and realizing that, you know, the difference between this patient being in bed and sick and me being there is just not any difference at all, hardly. I always think, no matter how rough the work on the floor gets, I know I'm going to walk out the door at 11:30, so I'm able to have a great deal of patience with people.
I've been with Angela Hospice for a little better than 12 years now. I think just all clumped together, all the stories that I have relate to all the nurses and the whole clinical staff, and the kindness and the way everyone goes out of their way for the families, for the patient, for the families. It's working like a living prayer is what it's like to me here. It's like a prayer in life. You get to see the generosity, the kindness. That's what I enjoy the most. That's what brings me back here day after day, truly.
I've been working here going on 10 years. I like to take care of the residents, and plus you get to know the patients and the family, because it makes you feel good, because you know you're doing the right thing and for the family, and I pray every time I come in, and Lord, help me go through this day and do the right thing and help the people, so.
I got into the hospice field kind of by accident. It was during nursing school. They had me do a hospice rotation, and I said, it's not me, I'm ER, urgent care, I'm going to do something trauma, and they had me do the rotation anyway. And I don't think hospice is something you choose. I think hospice chooses you. And after I spent time doing it, I realized that it was me.
How I started, how I ended up here was I had been let go, as all the office staff had been in an office that had closed, and I was the last employee to leave, and I was alone in that office, and I just put my hands down on the desk and said, dear God, now where do I go? And truly, out from the cubby where we used to keep business cards, floated down a card from Angela Hospice. I picked it up, I looked at it, I had no idea what Angela Hospice was, nor where it was, but I took the card. The next day, I remember, I came here, I drove up the long driveway, I walked into the building, still didn't know what it was about, but knew instantly when I walked in that this is where I wanted to be.
I love what we do. I love the opportunity to make a difference every day. And the people that work here are, I don't think that you'll ever meet a greater group of people. I think everyone has the same calling.
I also never dreamed we'd have so many volunteers willing to help us. I just never would have thought of that 25 years ago. just the enormity of over 450 active people just willing to give of their time and a lot of time their personal expenses to do what they need to do for the family. So we are so grateful to them.
Interacting with volunteers is definitely a plus side of the job. They're all wonderful people, and I'm just waiting to win the big lottery prize so I can be a full-time volunteer.
And what does the next 25 years look like?
I can only imagine that it's just going to get better and better and hopefully encompass a larger service area.
I would hope we would continue to be delivering the kind of hospice care well into the future that we are delivering now.
I think the future of Angela Hospice is endless.
With 32 beds in our recently opened care center and our home care program growing with more patients and families week after week, it seems Angela Hospice will continue growing and helping more and more families in our community for years to come. Beyond that, what can we say?
The rest is in God's hands, and we'll leave it there and follow where He leads us.